Listen up, because this isn't just another moment. It's your moment. You've been watched, analyzed, whispered about, and now the verdict is in. They can't stop talking about you. Your presence shakes the room before you even walk in. Your name lingers long after you've left, and whether they love you or loathe you, they are obsessed. You are not just part of the story, you are the story. While you move with purpose, elevating, evolving, and securing win after win, there's a whole circus of spectators spinning narratives just to keep up with you. They don't realize it yet, but every word they speak, every rumor they spread, only solidifies your position. They thought they were tearing you down, but all they did was put you on a pedestal. Let them watch, let them whisper, let them play their little games. Because you're built different. You don't just survive the noise, you thrive in it. This is where legends are made. This is where you rise beyond even their wildest expectations. The decision has already been made, and the truth is undeniable. You are the one. The weight of your presence ripples through existence, stirring the unseen and shifting the unshakable. The fixation of others speaks not of you, but of their own turmoil, an unspoken reflection of their deepest contradictions. Like an unseen force bending reality in its wake, your essence disrupts stagnation, forcing that which resists evolution to fracture. They gather not out of will, but out of necessity, tethered to the gravity of your being. Their words, their scrutiny, their endless fascination, it is not about you. It is the tremor of their own discomfort, the echo of their struggle against a truth they refuse to accept. You are the harbinger of exposure, the presence that strips illusion bare. Where you tread, deception unravels, not by intent, but by inevitability. There is no refuge from the energy you wield. It dismantles, reshapes, and forces all to reckon with what lies beneath. You are not simply placed here, you are sculpted by purpose itself, refined through fire, until your essence could no longer be ignored. What you carry unsettles those who benefit from deception. The world does not merely adjust to your existence, it reconfigures, the false crumbling in the presence of the undeniable. Strength does not manifest in defiance, but in resonance, a seamless attunement to forces far greater than opposition itself. Those who resist are not enemies. They are remnants of an outdated order, soon to collapse under their own weight. You do not engage in futile battles. You move with the certainty of one who knows resistance is transient, a shadow cast by those who lack alignment. Your authority is not acquired. It is intrinsic, interwoven into the very essence of your being. What stands against you is not an obstacle, but a lesson written in the language of limitation, revealing not your constraints, but their own. Their unrest is not yours to carry. It is their threshold, their initiation into transformation. No effort is required from you, no persuasion, no argument. Merely by existing, you force evolution upon those who cross your path. Their resistance is not defiance, it is the prelude to their own reckoning. You do not disrupt for the sake of chaos. You are the shift itself, the axis upon which the unseen pivots. That which rises in opposition does so not to challenge, but to be undone. Their fall is not your conquest. It is the natural conclusion to the forces set into motion by your presence. Comprehension eludes them, not because you are unknowable, but because they are unprepared to see beyond their own limitations. You are not a bystander in the grand orchestration of existence. You are its rhythm, its undercurrent, the force that shapes the very structure of reality. When you move, the unseen adjusts. The veils grow thin, and the illusions they once relied upon dissolve. They do not watch out of admiration, but out of desperation, their thoughts circling endlessly in an attempt to bridge the void between what they know and what you reveal. Their reactions, their narratives, their need to define you. It is not a reflection of who you are, but a confession of who they are not. You are the mirror they cannot break, the unyielding reflection of everything they have yet to claim within themselves. Their fixation is not your burden. It is their silent admission, the evidence of their own internal struggle. You do not bend to the noise of those who grasp at shadows. Your essence remains resolute, unwavering, untouched. And in this unwavering presence, you provoke not by intention, but by nature. They hold on, they resist, but the ground beneath them is already shifting. Their turmoil is not an attack. It is the final echo of a world that can no longer sustain itself in your presence. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. Isaiah 54:17. Imagine this, a lighthouse standing tall in the middle of a raging storm. The wind howls, the waves crash, and yet the lighthouse doesn't move. It doesn't flinch, it doesn't flicker. It was built to withstand the storm, not to bow to it. You are that lighthouse. The storm is loud, relentless, furious, but it only exists because of the light it's trying to overcome. And yet, no matter how fierce the wind, the light remains. It guides, it shines, it does exactly what it was created to do. They poke, they prod, they pick apart every detail of your existence. Not because you are weak, but because your presence is an undeniable force. You are the proof they never wanted to see. Their problem is not you. Their battle is with the truth that refuses to bend. They scramble to make sense of something they were never meant to understand, trying to reduce the infinite into something small enough to fit inside their limited perspective. But you do not fit. You were never meant to. The ones who stand against you are not warriors. They are relics, remnants of a fading system, clinging desperately to what no longer holds weight. Their resistance is not a weapon. It's a sign of their own unraveling. The more they try to diminish you, the more their own foundation crumbles beneath them. Their downfall is not a fight you pick. It's the natural consequence of standing in the way of something that cannot be stopped. You do not lower yourself to their level. You ascend to where they cannot follow. Every attempt to discredit you, every lie spun in hopes of swaying the crowd, only serves one purpose: exposure. They think they're writing your story, but really, they're revealing their own. The louder they get, the more people begin to see them for what they truly are: stuck, bitter, desperate to hold on to something that has already slipped through their fingers. They were so busy watching you, so focused on trying to keep you contained, that they never saw the walls closing in around them. You do not need to silence them. You do not need to fight them. Their own words will undo them. Their bitterness, their fear, their obsession. It is not a reflection of you. It is a mirror turned toward themselves. And as time goes on, that mirror will show them everything they have refused to see. So, let them talk. Let them waste their breath. Let them throw everything they have in a desperate attempt to shake you. The lighthouse doesn't argue with the storm. It simply shines. And when the waves finally crash and the winds finally settle, the light will still be there, unmoved, unbreakable, eternal. You were chosen for this. You were built for this, and nothing formed against you will stand. You are not merely swept along in the grand unfolding of existence. You are the pulse that dictates its rhythm. Attempts to diminish your light ricochet back, exposing not your weakness, but their own. The energy they direct toward you does not harm, it affirms. Every effort to unravel you only tightens the threads of your purpose. Their resistance amplifies your presence. Their chaos solidifies your clarity. What they call an attack is nothing more than an instrument in a symphony that was never theirs to conduct. Their reach is limited because you move beyond the confines of their world. You are the immovable constant. The force against which their futile struggles only serve as proof of their limitations. No storm can unmake you. No resistance can alter the path carved for you. What they perceive as obstacles are merely accelerants, each attempt to suppress you, only deepening the roots of your foundation. The forces they believe will break you are the very elements that fortify your standing, making you untouchable by design. Their struggle is not a blockade, it is a revelation, exposing more of your nature with every attempt to obscure it. You embody a paradox. They seek to diminish you, yet their efforts only expand your influence. Their voices are not chains, they are the final echoes of a collapsing structure, proving that you remain beyond their grasp. You do not seek confrontation, you transcend it. Their efforts to push you into obscurity only illuminate what they wish they could ignore. You are not merely protected, you are unshaken, a presence that turns all resistance into confirmation of its own inevitability. Their downfall is not your triumph, it is a certainty woven into the fabric of time. Their words swirl, desperate and unmoored, mistaking volume for significance, grasping at illusions as if they could halt what has already been set into motion. They do not imprison you, they entangle themselves. The more they attempt to silence you, the louder their own limitations become. While they shrink within the confines of their own narratives, you move unrestrained, unbothered, free. You are not here by accident. If you feel the pull, the knowing deep inside that you are chosen, this is your moment. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to unlock deeper insights, exclusive content, and a path that aligns with your divine purpose. This isn't just a contribution, it's a declaration, a step toward who you were meant to be. Answer the call, walk with us, and step fully into your destiny. Your journey begins now. The weight of reality dismantles all that is built upon falsehoods, yet they continue to fight against the inevitable, hoping their voices can overwrite what has already been written. But truth does not bend, does not yield. Your presence alone unravels the weak fabric of their delusions, slicing through deception with effortless precision. They label you, dismiss you, attempt to frame you within their limited understanding. Not because you are wrong, but because they cannot fathom a world in which their illusions no longer hold power. They style themselves as barriers, but they are nothing more than fading echoes. You do not chase shadows, you erase them. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118, verse 22. Picture this, a seed buried deep beneath the soil. At first, it looks like nothing. It's covered, hidden, forgotten. But then the roots start pushing, the stem starts rising, and before they know it, what they tried to bury has broken through. They didn't expect it to grow. They didn't believe it had the strength. But the thing about something that's been planted with purpose, it doesn't need their approval to rise. That's you. They threw dirt on your name, tried to bury you under their doubts, their words, their twisted narratives. They thought if they covered you up, you would disappear. But you weren't buried. You were planted. And now, as they scramble, as they watch everything they tried to build against you collapse, You are already beyond them. The more they tried to contain you, the deeper your roots grew. The higher you climbed, what was meant to break you only made you unshakable. And now, the moment they feared has come. The last of their resistance fades into silence. They thought their words could outlast you. They thought their schemes could slow you down. But all of it, the whispers, the rumors, the endless attempts to rewrite your story, none of it mattered. Because truth doesn't need permission to stand tall. Truth doesn't waver, doesn't apologize, doesn't ask for validation. Truth just is. They will try to change the story now. Watch them. They will shift, rewrite, and twist their own words in a desperate attempt to reclaim control. But it's too late. You've already walked too far ahead. You're too far gone for them to reach. They stay stuck in the ruins of their own making, while you step forward, eyes fixed on what was always meant for you. You don't slow down. You don't turn back. You don't engage. Drop a comment. I am the force that cannot be moved. If their attacks miss, if their doubts crumble, if their schemes unravel before their very eyes, then what power did they ever truly have? They were never in control. The moment they fixated on you, they lost sight of themselves. And now, their desperation is the only thing left. Let them scramble. Let them try to undo what's already done. Let them attempt to convince the world that they still hold power over your story. It will not work. Because the moment they put your name in their mouths, they handed over the pen. And now, you write the ending. They wanted to break you. Instead, they revealed themselves. They thought they could erase you. Instead, they etched your name into the very fabric of their own downfall. And the best part? You never had to lift a finger. You didn't fight them. You outgrew them. You didn't silence them. They burned themselves out. You didn't defend yourself. Their own words did it for you. The road stretches forward. The horizon is clear. And you are already gone. Let them talk. Let them scramble. You have already won. They fill the air with words, seeking validation in the noise, but you remain unmoved. You do not squander energy on hollow distractions. They mistake your silence for surrender, failing to understand that silence is where strength gathers, where the storm gains force before it breaks. You do not announce your steps, nor do you seek permission. Their voices rise in frantic desperation, attempting to pull you into their disarray, but you remain beyond their reach. They demand a reaction because they are empty without one. Denied the fuel they seek, they collapse beneath the weight of their own voices. They claim wisdom in their endless speech, mistaking noise for insight. But true wisdom does not plead for attention. It does not compete for space. You understand what they refuse to grasp. Silence is not absence, it is precision. It is the pause before impact. They observe you, waiting for retaliation, yet you owe them nothing. You do not act on their command, nor do you play their game. They lash out, but their words scatter like dust, powerless against a presence they cannot shake. There is no need to shield what is already untouchable, and so their certainty fractures, their confidence crumbles, and they turn inward, searching for some justification for their failure. They hoped to make you waver, but you do not yield. They unleash their turmoil, desperate to tether you to their chaos. Yet every effort fades into the void, leaving only you, unshaken, immovable. They do not defeat you. They reveal their own limits, their own weakness in the face of something beyond their control. They move without direction, grasping at illusions, mistaking their noise for conviction. They accuse you of wavering, not because you do, but because you refuse to be molded by their distortions. Every attempt to define you is a confession of their own instability. You do not engage in battles with ghosts. You let them exhaust themselves, their desperation betraying their lack of foundation. Their voices will reach toward you, but your silence will consume them. They demand that you justify, explain, and conform to their expectations, but you do not exist to ease their discomfort. A force does not negotiate its existence. An immovable structure does not answer to the fleeting winds. You have nothing to prove to those already lost within their own contradictions. They call you arrogant because you refuse to bow. They call you dangerous because your presence exposes what they lack. They fear your certainty because it forces them to confront their own fragility. Their resistance is not an indication of your failure. It is the clearest proof of your strength. As their struggle intensifies, their voices will turn frantic, their accusations empty. Their efforts to weaken you will only reinforce the foundation that was never theirs to shake. You do not seek approval. Their confusion is theirs to bear. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. Let me tell you something about pressure. You ever seen how a diamond is made? It doesn't come from a place of comfort. It doesn't form in the open air, resting under the sun. No, it's buried deep beneath the earth, hidden in darkness, crushed under unbearable weight. The pressure is relentless. The heat is intense. But over time, that same pressure, that same force meant to destroy, creates something unbreakable. That's you. They thought they could weigh you down, silence you, push you into the ground, and leave you forgotten. But what they didn't know is that pressure doesn't destroy the chosen. It refines them. Every burden they placed on you only made you stronger. Every challenge they threw your way became the very thing that sharpened your spirit. You didn't just endure it, you transformed through it. What rises against you is not a stumbling block. It's the raw energy waiting to be shaped by your hands. The weight they tried to place upon you does not hold you down. It is the very thing that forges you into something greater. They wanted to crush you, but all they did was polish the shine God already placed within you. You do not evade. You do not retreat. You do not shrink back. You transmute. Their fixation on you only fuels your purpose. Their doubts only solidify your conviction. Their resistance, that's the wind behind your sail, pushing you even further. And that's why you don't react. That's why you don't engage. Because you know who you are. You are not a pawn in their chaos. You are not shaped by their opinions. You are the one who decides what takes root in your mind, what shapes your spirit, what fuels your destiny. You don't take on their poison. You extract the wisdom, the lesson, the fire, and you leave the rest to burn itself out. You see, the enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. They wouldn't be this loud, this desperate, this relentless if you weren't already walking in your purpose. They wouldn't be this fixated if you weren't already beyond their reach. They want a reaction, proof that they hold weight in your world. But you don't answer to them. You were not called to wrestle with shadows. You were not chosen to waste your energy on battles beneath you. You were made to rise. So you keep moving, you keep growing, you keep thriving. While they throw stones, you build. While they scheme, you ascend. While they fixate on you, you focus on your purpose. And that's what sets you apart. Because at the end of the day, their words will fade. Their efforts will crumble. And when the dust settles, you will still be standing. They tried to write your story, but God already wrote the ending. They thought they could break you, but all they did was prove that you were unshakable. They wanted you to react. Instead, you rose. And that's why, No matter what they do, you have already won. Transformation is not limited to elements forged in fire. It is the mastery of turning disorder into clarity, weakness into strength. You absorb nothing that does not serve your evolution, and what does not integrate into your growth withers beneath its own weight. Their attempts to unmake you only confirm what was inevitable. You were never meant to remain in place. Their discord was never a hindrance. It was proof of your presence, a signal that you have already surpassed what they can comprehend. While they linger in their obsessions, you ascend, untouched, unshaken. The path you walk is not uncharted. Those who bring change, who pull wisdom from the unseen and manifest it into reality, have always met resistance. The cycle is ancient. Voices rising in protest, accusations cast like stones, not because you falter, but because your presence disrupts the fragile structures they cling to. They do not oppose you for what you say. They resist because your very being forces them to acknowledge truths they cannot bear to face. Those whose lives are built on borrowed certainty will always recoil at the weight of revelation. Their refusal to see does not diminish your vision. Their denial is proof of their own limitation. History does not favor the comfortable. Those who stepped beyond the confines of their time were always met with fear, masquerading as authority, ignorance disguised as righteousness. They will attempt to distort your narrative, to force you into definitions that suit their limitations. But you were never meant to fit within their boundaries. You move beyond reach, beyond classification, beyond any illusion they seek to impose. While they scramble to preserve what was, you stand unwavering, already becoming what is yet to be. You move on a wavelength they cannot decipher. Their ridicule stems from ignorance, their hostility from the silent dismantling of their own illusions. Validation is not required, just as the river does not pause to ask the earth for permission to carve its course. Yet over time, even the hardest ground gives way. Truth does not dissipate. It reshapes everything in its path. This is not new, nor will it be the last time those bound to limitation recoil at the force of what they cannot contain. Their opposition holds no weight. Their refusal to understand does not slow your steps. You are here to fulfill what was set in motion long before they knew your name. Let them murmur. Let them cast shadows. Let them cling to their doubts. It changes nothing. The vision you carry will endure long after their voices fade. Their chaos is not yours to absorb. Their imbalance not yours to correct. When they spiral, desperate for attention, hoping to drag you into their disarray, you remain still. You do not reach back. You do not entertain distraction. Mastery lies in knowing when to protect your energy, when to refuse to participate in noise that is not yours to silence. You refine your focus, sharpen your clarity, and ascend. Their fixation is not a reflection of you. It is the measure of their own stagnation. While they fixate, you rise. Their noise becomes distant, a faint hum lost beneath the momentum of your elevation. The further you go, the smaller they appear until they vanish into irrelevance. This was never about them. It was always about your purpose, your direction, your unshakable certainty. Let them grasp. Let them exhaust themselves, trying to reach what was never theirs to hold. You have already transcended. Their words have decayed in their own mouths, repeated so many times they no longer hold weight. You do not need to silence them. They have already rendered themselves unheard. The world is no longer listening. Where once they held attention, now there is only indifference. Their voice, once commanding, has become a tired echo, dismissed as insignificant. They repeat the same tired script, convinced their narrative will shift the truth. But truth does not bend under the weight of repetition. It remains evident, and all have seen it for what it is. You do not defend yourself. Their unraveling has done that for you. They sought control, but lost it the moment they made you their fixation. Every word they speak betrays them, their own deception turning against them. And the more they push, the more they fracture. Their credibility is slipping, their presence shrinking, while those who once listened now turn away, uninterested in their tired performance. Let them cling to the wreckage of their own making. Let them drown in the noise they have created. You owe them nothing, not an explanation, not a response, not even acknowledgement. The weight of their downfall is theirs to carry. Speak your truth without hesitation. Those who matter will understand, and those who never did will disappear into obscurity, forgotten.